Hello, Russ Rodgers here, and thank you for visiting with me today. Today we're going to talk about right hand form using the two-finger picking technique and work on exercises that will get your right hand warmed up and ready to play while at the same time helping you develop very efficient right hand technique. The first thing we'll do is look at the form of the right hand and the proper way to pull the strings. Okay, get your bass out and tuned up and we'll get started. If you have any questions about how to tune your bass, please refer to my free video on tuning your bass. For you lefties out there, just mirror image this information. Okay, the first thing we'll want to do, or I should say not do, is let your arm sit on the bass like this. Because this will interfere with mobility of the hand this way, but more importantly, it'll put pressure on those veins in the arm. And if you're digging in like this real heavy, you might wonder why your fingers are going to sleep while you're playing. So, not putting pressure on those veins in the arm, just keeping your arm off the bass is a good idea. It doesn't have to be sticking up in the air, but just so you're not putting any kind of significant pressure here. All right, then we put our thumb on the pickup. Now let's start, I would say start on the pickup. Now as you do this form of the right hand, you can actually move this form in different areas of the instrument. You can let it move like this. So where you'll rest your thumb might change depending on that. But let's just start with resting on the side of the thumb on the pickup. I recommend not resting on the cliff of the pickup. Although it's a comfortable anchor, this will interfere with the muting techniques as you go up the strings. So just kind of letting it sit there. Also keeping the thumbnail on the short side here will help the flesh part of the thumb grip the plastic of the pickup better. If the nail hits it, it'll slide around. It won't work as well. All right, now when we pick the strings, we want our fingers to just glide over the top of the string. We don't want to go out and back down and hit the string. Now there are certain styles of music that you might do this, but for general two-finger picking technique, you just want to limit the amount of excess motion that you have, because the faster you play, the more that excess motion will get in the way of your timing as you play the notes. So let your finger glide over the top of the string, and you want to keep tension in the two finger joints here. This joint and this joint. You don't want to let these joints collapse in or buckle backwards. So if this were the string here, and I pick that string, I don't let the fingers buckle backwards like that. I keep tension in those joints and let the string slide out from underneath the finger. This way you'll get a lot more power and better tone with a lot less effort. So if I just do some notes on the E string, just gliding over the top, gripping the string and pull it. All right, now when I go to the A string, my thumb will glide over and sit on the top of the E string like this. All right, now remember it's a downward pull into the instrument. You're not picking up like this, you're kind of pulling that way. So back to the E string, I'm pulling down into the bass. All right, when I go to the A string, my thumb glides over the top of the E. Still a downward pull, not letting the joints of the fingers collapse, and the fingers fall firmly against the string behind it. When I go to the D, my thumb will follow the fingers up, staying on the E and A string now. And now I'm picking the D. Now this is keeping the E string quiet while you're playing on the D. When I go to the G string, my thumb follows up again, now laying flat on the E, A, and D string while I'm picking the G. When I go back to the D, my thumb follows back a little bit. Going back to the A. And then just glides off onto the pickup here, staying very close to the E string. All right, this is a very good way to use your right hand. Certainly not the only way. That you'll see a lot of people doing a lot of different things, but it's very efficient in keeping the strings, the lower strings, quiet as you play on the higher ones. But it's very important that the thumb stay down on these strings as you do this. Also, it's very good in the respect that when you go to 5 and 6 string bass, you don't really have to change anything. You just keep moving up as you get to the higher strings. So it's kind of like an all-purpose right hand technique for the different amount of strings that you might be using on different kinds of songs. You might have 4 string on one, 5 string on another. So you don't really have to alter your right hand technique. Plus it keeps the hand very, very relaxed as you play. Okay, as you're doing these right hand exercises and using the open strings that we'll be using, the problem that you'll run into is as you're descending, going from the higher strings to the lower strings, you'll have overring. Not a very pleasant sound to listen to. All right, to get rid of that and make this more, these exercises nicer to listen to as you work on them. If you lightly lay your first finger between the nut and the first fret, just enough to kind of deaden the string a little bit, you're able to get rid of the overring, and this is simply just to make them sound better as you work on them. Now that you see how the right hand should work while picking the strings, we'll work on some exercises that will quickly get this to become a part of your playing. Let's take a look at exercise number 1. All right, in exercise number 1, we're going to have 4 notes per string, and we want to alternate the right hand fingers. We'll call this one number 1 and this one number 2. And counting out loud 1, 2, 1, 2, or 2, 1, 2, 1 as you alternate will help just lock in that control of the alternation. I think vocalizing what you do on the bass is a really good idea. So this will help you do this. All right, and don't worry about doing these with a metronome or worry about the strictness of the timing. Focus totally on form and getting rid of all the excess motion so that you can actually stop in between strings, make your hand adjustment, and then move on to the next series of notes. Now later on, when you get comfortable with this, of course, you would put it in time and use metronome and speed it up. But when you're first getting started, I recommend not using the metronome. All right, so we're going to do 4 notes on the E string. Then our thumb glides up on the E, 4 notes on the A, using a 1-2 alternation. All right, then we go up to the D string. Our thumb sits on the E and the A. And then to the G for 4 notes. Thumb sits on the E, A, and D. Repeat the G string, 4 notes. 1, 2, 1, 2, to the D string for 4 notes. 1, 2, 1, 2. A string for 4 notes. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then slide the thumb just off the string, just behind it, and 4 notes on the E string. 1, 2, 1, 2. Then we go up and down doing a 2-1 alternation. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay, let's look at exercise number 2. Okay, in this one we're going to have 2 notes per string, but the hand will do exactly the same thing as we talked about before. So we'll start with a 1-2 alternation. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, and you'd go up and down several times like that, and then we go to a 2-1 alternation. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Time for exercise number 3. Okay, in number 3, we're going to just do 1 note per string. All right, and we'll repeat top and bottom notes to reverse direction. Starting off with a 1-2 alternation in the right hand. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, now let's do a 2-1 alternation. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Thanks again for checking out this video, and I hope it was helpful. I hope you also take time to check out my other free and premium videos. Always remember that the quality of your playing will come down to the efficiency of your hands, and as bass 101 as this is, it will be the most important thing you'll ever do for your bass playing. This is Russ Rodgers, and I'll see you next time.